Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Martina, Senior Business Development Manager at Destinus. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Would you mind starting off just by explaining a little bit about Destinus and what you do?
Of course. Destinus is a European aerospace and energy company, and we're trying to develop these commercial aircraft that will fly instantly to any location around the world in just 4 hours. So going at Mach 5, so 5 times the speed of sound to be able to achieve this, and we're doing this with hydrogen as fuel. And our company is 140 people today, and we have been around for about 2.5 years, and we're located across 5 different countries in Europe.
Fantastic, and that's an ambitious goal, and you're working towards creating hypersonic hydrogen aircraft. Can you explain how this will change commercial air travel?
So imagine if you can go as quickly as you might go from London to Spain, you can go in the same amount of time from London all the way to the other side of the world, to New Zealand. So we're talking about essentially teleportation here. You're able to go anywhere in the world in just a few hours, which makes it way more connected. So you can visit your family in other locations, your friends, you can live and work in one place, and then you can go somewhere else for your vacations or business travels, etc. So it's going to enable people to connect on a much larger scale than before, and we've already seen this revolution in the aviation industry by having the airplanes. We're able to go to different continents, be here today, for example. So we just think that the next step in mobility is to be able to go even faster.
Fantastic, and as I understand it, the key in this next step is hydrogen. So what makes this uniquely suited to being the fuel of the future?
So we use hydrogen for a few different reasons. One is because it's abundant in the universe. You can get it from water. So you do a process called electrolysis where you split water into H2 and O. And in that way, by using renewable energy, it's also sustainable because you can produce it in a sustainable way, but also when you combust it in an engine, you mainly get heat and water out of it. So there's no carbon dioxide emissions. So the sustainability is one aspect of it as well, and then also it enables us to go extremely fast. And it's a good fuel to use when you want to go very long ranges. So it's not just in the aviation industry that they're looking at using hydrogen. It's also in ground mobility, such as trucks or buses, because it has more or less the same performance in terms of the range, for example, as diesel engines.
Fantastic, and the benefits of this are abundant, it sounds like, but I can imagine there are some difficulties with integrating it. So could you outline some of the challenges that come with using hydrogen as an alternative jet fuel, and how are you at Destinus navigating these?
Yeah, one of the challenges is that we use it at liquid state, which is cooled at around minus 250 degrees Celsius. So it's cryogenic, extremely cold, and this is quite challenging to handle. And there's not a lot of people that are equipped with these expertise. We have a lot of people in-house that come from the space industry. So they are knowledgeable of how to handle liquid hydrogen, and that's very helpful. But we can tell that in many other industries, such as the truck industry, some are deciding to convert to liquid hydrogen, but the main hesitation is that it's a little bit scary. That's the main challenge that we have to face right now, and it's a matter of time before there's going to be more experts that are able to handle this, and until regulations catch us up as well.
And so once this starts to become integrated, as we put it into the ecosystem, how are airports going to need to adapt to welcome this hydrogen-powered aircraft?
So of course, having hydrogen accessible at the airport is one of the key things to be able to enable hydrogen flights. And fortunately, a lot of airports that we talk to are already planning on implementing this infrastructure or have already done this. Some have done it in stages where they first phase it out for trucks and buses that are operating at the airport. Some are doing it for gaseous hydrogen, and then some are looking into liquid hydrogen. So we need this to happen, and fortunately Airbus is also pushing for hydrogen airports, which is good. So there's a few other players out there, and big players that need this as well in the next decade or so. What's needed is you're going to need the infrastructure, the storage of whether it's gaseous hydrogen or liquid hydrogen directly at the airport. And the best way to get the hydrogen there is either by pipelines, or if you have a production site nearby where you can then transport it by truck, especially if it's liquid hydrogen, because you have a boil-off effect. So you want to ideally have the liquefier on site so that you just get the gaseous hydrogen to the airport and then you liquefy it there on the spot. So there's a few things that needs to be implemented for this to work, and that can be a big investment for many airports. We're actually rolling out a product that is called the Destinus LH2 Vault. So it's going to be a small ISO containerized sized solution for airports where you have the storage of liquid hydrogen, and then you have the liquefier as well that re-liquefies whatever boils off. So it's a zero boil off system. And this is something that you can transport by truck, so you can install it easily at an airport, and it's low cost, and it's also a smaller scale solution for getting into the hydrogen infrastructure business before scaling it up to a much larger one, which we're also looking into with a few airports right now.
Okay, great. And can I ask, is there a rough timeline for when we'll be seeing this?
Yeah, so we're looking at having the first commercial aircraft ready by the early 2030s. So that's a 25-seater aircraft that we're looking at flying from, for example, Paris to New York in 1.5 hours. So at hypersonic velocities, and that's going to be revolutionary in itself. And then we're looking at having the larger scale 400-passenger aircraft coming out in the 2040s. So that's going to take us a little bit longer time before we get to that point, and where we can really have the big size to be able to enable these very long-range flights all the way to New Zealand, for example. In the meantime, we're developing a lot of prototypes, so we have already flown a few prototypes. We had our first flight with hydrogen in May as well, and then next year we're going to have our first supersonic prototype taking flight, and it's going to fly with liquid hydrogen. So it's going to be the world's first supersonic on liquid hydrogen, which we're very excited about. So we're doing it by phases with the prototypes, and then eventually we'll get to the commercial aircraft, which in the early 2030s. That's when we're planning on having that ready.
Well, I look forward to seeing how everything progresses with this, and it was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to meet you as well.